Night was falling on Cadwallon. Darkness slowly crept among the dwellings and the high towers. Master Bromide's rare books and first editions bookshop, stuck at the end of an upper city street, was shrouded in darkness. Master Bromide's employees had left a while ago, but he was still busy counting the money in his till in the dim light of a lonely candle. Once the last ducat in the vault, the goblin pushed his glasses back on his nose, closed his waistcoat on his jabot shirt, and went to the front window of his shop. Avoiding the chaotic piles of books standing in the center of the establishment, Bromide silently squeezed along the bookshelves full of priceless works. At the door, as he was about to close for the night, he noticed a silhouette coming from the other side of the street. At first, Bromide thought he was dealing with a drunken wolfen. The goblin understood his mistake when the figure arrived to his doorstep. Clad in a heavy greatcoat, the stranger was in no way humanoid, apart for 2 arms and a head. His body was long and twisting like a reptile. His eyes gleamed in the shadows of his hood, and he darted a bifid tongue. Holding nonchalantly an umbrella on his shoulder, he was leaning on the great black pommel of his cane. Bromide had never seen such a creature before.
"Are you closed?"
The expert in old books could not answer. His knees were knocking and his teeth were chattering. The stranger seemed to think it was some sort of invitation and entered the shop. He slithered for a time among the piles of books, caressing the shelves with his forked tongue. Bromide could not take his eyes off of him. Despite the size of his body, the gracefulness of his movements was horribly fascinating and yet sublime. The goblin's instincts were ordering to flee and forget about his books, but the till was full.
"Can I help you?"
The sentence he had repeated 1,000 times in his life as a merchant had popped out automatically. The Ophidian turned around so slowly it was almost hypnotizing. He gave the book dealer a disturbing look.
"I am weary from a fight. I need to relax. I heard much praise concerning your establishment."
The compliment swept the word fight from the goblin's mind. Bromide noticed the many jewels worn by his interlocutor shining in the shadows. All bucked up, the goblin fetched a candle and came back towards his customer. He remembered that a good sale began with a good investigation, and he tried to forget that his head was at stake right then.
"Pardon my curiosity, but how have you come to know of my boutique?"
"My enemy confessed many things during his agony. I hope he was not one of your good patrons."
Bromide almost choked. He certainly did not want to know the name of the departed.
"Is it the first time you come to Cadwallon?"
"Yes, I used to live in a library for years."
By rat, a librarian? There wasn't anything worse than librarians. Bromide resumed his composure.
"I am glad to say that many colleagues of yours are part of my clientele. You all have a favoured domain. May I ask which is yours?"
"I am not a librarian anymore. I am a warrior of the Ragnarok."
And yet before that..."
The reptilian eyes of the visitor remained silently fixed on Bromide's face for several lengthy seconds.
"Magic."
"Vast and noble field. And which aspect of the discipline caught your attention?"
"It's not a discipline. It's an art. And one of its most brilliant crafter is no other than Arikau."
Instantly Bromide went mentally, through what he had in store to see if he had anything concerning the individual. Almost like a construct, he recited.
"The mad enchanter. A Sinwall. I had a beautiful manuscript on him, but I had to part from it last month."
The client hissed threateningly. Bromide achieved the feat of preventing all of what could come out of his body from doing so. The 2 scholars remained silent for a moment. A small creature, obviously amphibious, came out of the client's clothes and disappeared down one sleeve. Still petrified, Bromide realized that he was standing in front of one of those terribly powerful and mysterious magicians capable of subduing creatures from the other realms.
"You must be a very powerful magician, my lord."
"Power has nothing to do with it. I am an artist. The creation is my canvas. I am capable of imposing my will and wishes upon Arklash."
The magician was standing erect on his serpentine body, and his nature could not be mistaken anymore by Bromide. It was only the thought that his client would catch up on him easily that prevented the goblin from fleeing. Satisfied with his effect, the Ophidian resumed.
"Do you know the ecstasy felt by the one who defies mortals' laws? All my life, I wished to reach the heavens, like Vortyrus. When I did, I felt such joy that I could not lock myself up with books once again. I am free, like a dreaded god of savagery."
In his exaltation, The magician knocked over a pile of old spellbooks. Bromide was unable to hold a squeal of disapprobation. The Ophidian stood still, gazed at the goblin, and leaned over to pick up the books with almost mystical respect. He stopped on the edge of a book. Bromide snapped back to life.
This is a very precious book, written by a mage of the Chimera.
To these words, the Ophidian scornfully let the book drop.
Humans. They are only larvae. Stuck in their narrow morals, they are unable to unleash their desires. And their race is so young, so pathetic.
In an ecstatic movement, the Ophidian let his hood fall back, revealing his face. He seemed ready to deal death.
You are right. Men truly are stupid. They don't understand anything about others. They believe they own everything when we were here long before.
The Ophidian stopped crawling. Reassured by this silent support, Bromide went on.
They think they're smart, but they understand nothing about anything. How could they comprehend history when they are coming to the end of this one? They write books but do not understand the words.
The magician took a less threatening posture. Bromide searched for any kind of indication in the Ophidian's gaze. Unsuccessfully, he resumed. My people existed long before the dwarves even settled in the Aegis. We all speak several languages. Our calligraphy is unequaled. Our magical knowledge reveals the true power of names. We are librarians. You cannot kill me. The mage seemed amused by the terror of the goblin. He played for a little while with his familiar, then came closer, slid past Bromide and coiled around him.
Since you are so erudite and so proud of your people, find me a book from No-Dankar worthy of my attention, and your life shall be spared.
The Ophidian's tongue caressed Bromide's cheek. In a flash, the merchant became aware of the number of compendiums, spellbooks, codex, dissertations, treaties, and other works accumulated over the course of his life. One of them might save his life. Lasciviously, the magician let Bromide go almost reluctantly. The goblin frenziedly rushed through the alleys formed by the piles of books. The panic which had submerged him slowly eased away. The goblin was convinced his client had told no one else what it felt like to take off to the heavens before. Bromide now knew him better than anyone else. He could do it. The goblin found the first book he had bought here, a pamphlet against Aquilanians written by an almost illiterate clone. He also found an esoteric treaty he had forgotten to sell to a good customer who had been looking for it for years. He almost tripped over the 27th volume of the Encyclopedia of Tirnabor, which he used to steady a bookshelf. Eventually, an illumination came to him. With expert dexterity, the merchant caught a thick old book at the bottom of a pile and tugged it out sharply, without knocking the unsteady tower over. He proudly showed the book to his customer.
It's a treatise by Master Sulphur, the greatest magician of No-Dankar.
Nice reference. And what is his subject?
I must say I haven't understood it all. It is a comparative study of the various paths of magic.
Thorny subject, rarely treated with elegance.
Yes, but Sulphur focused on a magician who mastered water, darkness, Tiffinism, and some other mysterious path all at once.
The Ophidian was standing still, like a cobra about to strike.
What is this magician's name?
Sigma.
Deadly silence shrouded the shop, weighing slowly on the room like a snake coiling around a prey, ready to choke it. A sardonic smile crossed the Ophidian's face. The goblin silently muttered prayers to Rat. The smile widened.
How much?